Alright, so in part one of our video, we got all the way down to taking the timing belt off and replacing the water pump. So we got all that down to there, and we got the thermostat replaced while we were at it. So we're working our way through this motor because it was a beater with a heater when I got it. So next up, what we want to do while we're here, because a lot of this stuff, you know, it's while we're here, while we took all this stuff off, might as well do some other things to it because this motor's got like 230,000 miles on it. So next up in this part of the video, I'm going to be doing the seals. So these are the cam seals and the front main. In the first video, if you're wondering how to get that big old Jesus bolt off, I show how to do that and actually take the thing off. So you'll see how to do that. It's pretty simple with some ratchet straps and some things like that. Then you'll be able to get down this far and we can do these seals. Alright, so let's get this idler pulley out of here. This is for the timing belt, and it comes off with just a 14 millimeter. We're going to get him out of the way so we can see a little bit better down here. So this guy just slips off here, off this post, like that. And don't worry about the spring, just make sure you keep it on there. So we got that, and let's put that aside, and it gives us a little more room so we can get this gear off right here. So now, because we're going to take the seal out, and the seal's right behind this gear right here, the gear's pretty loose because it's all held on there by the pulleys or the balancer. So we got to get this keeper off right here, this little woodruff key. And so what you want to do is try not to damage him. But we want to thump him on the front and see if we can get him to tip up out of there. Well, it fell down in my cooler. So let me grab that guy, but that's just a key. There we go. So we got our little key. We might replace him if he's nasty. If not, we'll just keep him. And the plate could actually come off without that key coming off because it's got a slot in it. So you could take that off if you had to. You could slide these out, but we got to get the seal on there. So we got to take it off anyway. So this guy's keyed too, and he comes out. If nothing's damaged, it should slide off there pretty easy. It's got a key on it as well. But this one looks like somebody's been in here before. So this gear may not come off, and I'm going to have to take some sandpaper and sand down the surface a little bit. So we've got us some 600 grit here, so let's just run around this thing. And we'll try it again. There we go. So now we just got to pull this gear off, and it's got another woodruff key right there, so no worries about getting it put on there wrong, and it's got a little dot, so you want to line your dot up on the outside. And we got him, and you can see the groove goes backwards. There's a little dot right here, it tells you how to do the alignment, so you just got to put that forward. And then we got one more plate back here that we just got to rotate around to get to where he'll come off, that right there. And he goes on like that right there. So, there we go. Now we're down to the seal. So, not too bad to get there once you get all this stuff out of the way. So next up, we got to get the old seal out. Now, I don't know, there's about 10 different ways to do this, but I just use a little screwdriver that I bent the end over because the screwdriver is pretty hard metal, and it should pull these little rubber seals out. So it's got a little hook on it, and what I do is just hook it up inside of the seal lip and get it in there. Kind of work your way up under the seal, and you can cut through the rubber, and then just take you a pair of pliers and push on the end of the crank. And a lot of times those little buggers, if you push real easy, they'll pop right out. So there you go. So that's a super simple way to get that seal walked out of there. And as you can see, let me get it back down in there. What I did is actually ram the thing through the seal, so I'm not on the shaft. That way I don't have any worry about busting that shaft. Now you can see this one's busted, so that's probably why it was leaking, because that seal is gone. But that way I didn't have anything on my shaft right there. I know I'm in good shape. So now all we got to do is just look in here and see if this particular model pump has a little drain down in the bottom. So we're going to look down in there real quick. We may have to clean that little drain out. It's like a little weep hole, but we'll check that out here in just a second. If it is in there, Then we'll stick a little wire down there and just make sure that thing's clean. Alright, so this model does indeed have this little drain hole right here. And so I'm going to put a piece of wire in it so you can see it right there. But there's a little hole. Let me zoom down in there a little bit closer. Weep hole right here behind the seal, and you want to make sure that guy's cleaned out. It's a pretty big hole. I don't think it gets stopped up too easy. But because all the crud gets in there, especially if the seal has given way, it might have got down in there. So you just want to check that. Make sure that little hole is cleaned out, and mine's fine. So we can go about putting our seal in now. Alright, so we're ready to install our new seal. And if you were looking, paying attention, that other seal was brown. Well, it was a little soft. I didn't like that one. And so I went and got another one. This is a Federal Mogul. Got it over at O'Reilly's over there. But as you can see, I'm already doing some prep. So what you want to do, there's a little spring right inside of there. And just to make sure that little joker doesn't come out, what you want to do is pack this thing with some grease and get that little guy sealed up in there pretty well so he won't jump out of there. So we got some grease all the way around the spring right there. Now we're ready to put it on. So how do we get this thing on? Well, it goes on this way, and so you slip it up on there, but it's got to get over that bump, and it might tip that lip to the inside. So we got to do a little bit special. So let's just hang him right there just for a second. And what we need to get is some of this aluminum tape with like a backer on it. It could be a plastic backer or a paper backer. And what we want to get is a piece of it, because we're going to make a little jumper that's going to let it get up on there. So with that, we got a little piece of this stuff. So what we want to do is take our gasket and we want to slip that around the big part right there and get it kind of in the shape of a cone. So then you got to figure out which way it goes. So this is the outside, the spring thing's on the inside. So now we just put our gasket on our aluminum like that. So then now we got the aluminum over the top of the big bump. So we can use either some more grease or we can use some assembly lube. And we just want to lube this thing up a little bit. Just get our foil back, far back so we can get it without jumping off the lip. And then we just push the seal up inside there. Now, here's where the trick becomes. We got the lip up in there, and you can check and make sure the lip didn't come out. But we don't want to go too far because these don't have a backer on them. So now we got to take a punch, like a big punch. And what you want to do is go ahead and start thumping the gasket into its set. So now with it mostly up on there, now you can take your tape and wiggle your tape out, and away you go. So just check and make sure you didn't leave any of the backer or any of the tape, and you're in good shape. So now our seal's on there, and you can inspect and make sure the lip is on there correctly. Now all we got to do is get him in his final resting spot. So you don't want to go too far. Like I say, there's no lip on the back. What you want to get is this thing just barely inside of the seal there. And so we're going to tap him flat until we hear aluminum. Like that right there. And as you can see, there's a lip right here. This is where that flat metal washer is going to go. So as long as you're smooth to this surface right here, you're in good shape. So now all we got to do is put our keys back in and slip our gear back on, put all that together, and we'll be ready to head up to the top and look at the cams. And there we go. So now we got our crank seal done, and we're ready to go to put all of our pulleys and stuff back on there once we put our water pump on and all that. So now let's move up here to these cams, and as you can see right here, they're loose because I loosened those when I was loosening up the Jesus bolt down here. So you got to do that first, and that's why it'd be important. If you want to watch the first video, you'll see how to get this far, as well as what you need to do to prepare for your new cam seals. So to do the cam seals, we got these loosened up already. Like saying, these come off real easy. Got to keep up with them. This one is the right side It's got an R on it, R3. And that over there is the left, but they come off super easy. And so all I gotta do is take the bolt off, and these guys are actually sloppy loose. But you can see they sit on there like that. And as you can see, there's an R for this one. So this is the right side, this is the left side. So let's get these two guys off. We gotta take this plate off, and then we can get to our seal. So to get down inside of here, we just got a few more bolts to take off, and we'll take these covers off. And off comes our cover. So there is our cam seal right there, and it doesn't appear that they've been leaking much, but we're going to change them out while we're at it because we don't want any of this stuff have to do it again. And there you go. As you can see, some of them require a little more persuasion than others. But we got him off there, and this one is super ancient and super hard. So, took some playing to get that one out of there, but we got him out. So now, we can replace these two out, just like we did the one on the bottom. And there we go. So we got our cam seal in. Now we just got to do that for the other one over there. We'll be ready to reassemble all this whole thing and put it back together. Alright, so with everything put back together, and I do have some pretty old hoses and stuff here, so I'm hoping they're not going to leak, but we'll see. We'll fire this thing up, and we're going to see if number one, it starts up, and number two, if it leaks. Well, it started up, so that's good. Now we just got to let it run for a while and get hot and see if anything leaks. So we'll be back here in a little bit once we let this thing idle for a little while and see what it does. Alright, so we are up to temp here, idling along pretty good. That's pretty good idle here. So it looks like fixing that timing settled some things out. So now let's walk around here and see if we are leaking. Looks good up top. Everything. Things are going on down there. Alright, and down here at the bottom, no dripping into our catch pan where we did our change out. So looks like we're in pretty good shape. We'll take this thing for a ride and make sure it runs. Well, alrighty. Thanks for watching.